Hey everybody, just Jesse here, welcoming you back to another day of accountability, welcoming you back to my man cave, my garage. Today I wanted to just let you know it's Sunday, April 26th, 2020, and I wanted to talk to you about servanthood and what it looked like for Jesus as he shows us 6 steps of servanthood. And we'll be in Philippians 2 verses, well, really the first part of the chapter 1 through 11. So did you really know how much Jesus actually gave up to be here with us on earth? Now, until I read this passage, I never really thought of how much Jesus really gave, the sacrifices of a king, just to be with me. You see, Paul references Jesus as the ultimate example of being a servant leader. In his letter to the people of Philippi, he asked for them to be humble and live selflessly. We can see that in verses 2 through 4, where he says, "Then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in the spirit and of one mind. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others." And so that speaks volumes just in itself. But he also reminds us of Jesus' ultimate sacrifice for us. And just think about it. Jesus left all of the glories of heaven, not just to join us here on earth, but he came here as a servant. He came here as a man. And as a servant, that was the lowest form of creation in that time. And Jesus really stepped down through 6 different levels of sacrifice just to show us how to lead people. So let's take a look at that now. He uses verses 6 through 8 to show us those 6 levels. And so verse 6 is level 1, and verse 6 says, "Who, being in very nature or in the form of God, did not consider equality with God something to be used as his own advantage." So level 1, he gave up his divine form. He gave up being God. He gave up being king. He gave up heaven. Now, verse 7 talks about a couple different levels. And so verse 7 says, "Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature or the very form of a servant, being made in human likeness." So level 2, talking about verse 7, was that he gave up all of his rights. He gave up everything. Kingship, he gave up being God, just to come down here for us. Level 3 also says he became a man. And level 4 says that he became a servant. So the next couple levels come from the last verse, verse 8. And level 5 talks about how he was obedient even to the point of death. And verse 8 says, "And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross." Which brings me to level 6. He died a terrible kind of death. Like, if you've watched The Passion of the Christ, that's just a little glimpse of how bad it was. There's almost nothing that can describe what he went through to save us from the sin that we commit daily sometimes. And so really, Jesus gave us everything by giving everything. He teaches us how to be the best servant, and that's what we're called to be. We're called to be here to serve and to lead people to Christ. Now, would you be willing to follow his examples that were listed out before? I know as I grow more Christ-like, and that's the term Christian, is to be more Christ-like, these questions have to be asked. So what about with you? Would you ask those questions of yourself? Just something to ponder on. Thank you guys for having another day of accountability. That means a lot. I also want to ask that if anybody needs prayer for anything, go ahead and comment here, or hit me up on social media, or just figure out a way to get a hold of me, and I'll gladly be here to help you with any accountability or any prayer. But if somebody needs to hear this in your life, go ahead and share it. Hit the share button. If this touched you and you like it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit subscribe, and make sure you ring the bell so that you can get my newest video of the next step of accountability that I've taken, and hopefully maybe it can help you out as much as it's helping me and teaching me. So alright guys, thanks for joining me in my man cave, and I hope to see you guys being accountable tomorrow. Alright, have a good one.